How does someone not play a single varsity snap in high school but start for a team ranked in the top 10? That was the question everyone was asking when Kyle Trask came in for an injured Felipe Franks against Kentucky last season. But who is Kyle Trask? In the Who Is series, I go through backstories of up-and-coming collegiate and NFL players. I release football-related content every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Consider subscribing to the channel. I have a lot of cool things planned in the upcoming weeks on the road to 1,000 subs. Kyle Trask was born on March 6, 1998 and grew up in Manville, Texas. He attended Manville High School, and in his junior year he completed 70.6% of his passes for 786 passing yards, 6 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. He also rushed for a touchdown as well. During his senior year, Trask completed 73.4% of his passes for 759 passing yards, 10 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions, while also having 18 carries for 49 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown. Trask was a 2-star quarterback who had offers from Florida, Houston Baptist, Lamar, and McNeese State. He was the 107th best pro-style quarterback and 303rd best player in Texas. Wait, pause. How does someone with just over 1,500 passing yards between 2 years have Division I offers? Well, I'm glad you asked. Trask's high school career is an interesting one because he never actually started a varsity game in high school. Manville High School had 2 top-notch quarterback prospects at their disposal. Former Houston quarterback and now Miami Hurricane D'Eriq King also attended Manville High School and fit the offense they ran better than Trask. The head coach of Manville talked about how King and Trask had a quarterback battle that went down to the wire. So, to get both playing time, King would start the game while Trask entered the game on the 3rd series. The coaches knew Trask had the talent to succeed at quarterback and actually pushed him to transfer to another high school. Other coaches also approached him to try to get him to transfer to their school. Trask's answer to the idea of transferring was always the same. I was born and raised in Manville, Texas, and I'm a Manville Maverick. Trask and his family talked about the idea of transferring once, but quickly shut down the idea. His family was not going to move for football, and his parents did not want to teach Trask to run away from competition. When coaches came to watch Manville's practices, they could see the talent that Trask had. The visiting coaches asked the Manville coaches, "How am I going to explain I offered a kid who was a backup in high school?" And the Manville coaches simply answered, "Trust your eyes." You are probably still asking, "Johnny, how does a backup quarterback get an offer from the Florida Gators?" Here's how. Doug Newsmeyer, the offensive coordinator at the time, came to the Manville practice and liked what he saw from Trask. So he invited him to a Florida football camp. Trask performed really well at the camp and was invited to a second camp, where they had their potential recruits compete. Trask once again outperformed everyone at the camp, and at the end, he was invited to then head coach Jim McElwain's office. In the office, McElwain offered Trask a scholarship. Trask committed to Florida on July 26, 2015. Funny thing, it is believed after Trask committed to Florida, he got a call from Alabama, but Trask was not changing his commitment. In 2016, Trask would not see any playing time and would actually redshirt. In 2017, it seemed like Trask may have the opportunity to see some playing time until his season was derailed by a broken right foot. In 2018, Trask would make his collegiate debut against Charleston Southern. He also got playing time against Colorado State, Tennessee, and Missouri, all in the backup role. Against Missouri, Trask came in to replace a struggling Felipe Franks in a blowout loss. Trask completed 10 of his 18 pass attempts for 126 yards and his first collegiate touchdown. Trask impressed enough that it looked like he was going to be the starting quarterback in the next game. Until he suffered a non-contact foot injury in practice that would end his season prematurely. In 2018, Trask completed 63.6% of his passes for 162 yards, 1 touchdown, and no interceptions. Felipe Franks finished the 2018 season with a lot of positive momentum and would keep his starting quarterback position. Going into the 2019 football season, Trask was now a graduate student, meaning if he wanted to transfer, he would have immediate eligibility and play right off the bat. That is what everyone expected Trask to do when Mullins called him into his office to inform him that Felipe Franks had won the starting quarterback job over him. Instead, according to Mullins, he didn't blink an eye. He smiled and said, "Coach, this is what I told you I'm doing. This is what I'm doing." All around staying at Florida. Trask never settled being a backup quarterback and worked hard every day and never backed down from a challenge. Trask is quoted saying, "Even as backup, I prepared like I was the starter." Trask always carried himself as a starter, never settling for his spot. Against Tennessee Martin, he completed 4 of his 5 passes for 40 yards and a touchdown. Things all changed for Florida in the Kentucky game when Felipe Franks went down with a gruesome injury. Florida was down 21-10 and it was the beginning of the 4th quarter. It looked like Florida was going to get upset. At the time Trask came in, according to ESPN, Kentucky had an 88.9% chance of winning the game. Kyle Trask came in and balled out in the fourth quarter, completing 9 of his 13 passes for 126 passing yards and a go-ahead rushing touchdown. Florida would go on to win the game 29-21. In a win over Tennessee, Trask completed 20 of his 28 passes for 293 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. Against Towson, Trask completed 18 of his 20 passes for 188 yards and 2 touchdowns. In a big game against Auburn, who was ranked 12th at the time, Trask completed 19 of his 31 passes for 234 yards and 2 touchdowns, leading Florida to the win. Entering the LSU game, Florida was 6-0 and Trask went toe-to-toe with the eventual Heisman winner, throwing for 310 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. Florida would lose to the eventual national champions in a close game 45-28, being stopped on a 4th and goal on LSU's 2-yard line with 45 seconds left. In the win over South Carolina, Trask completed 21 of his 33 pass attempts for 200 yards, 4 touchdowns, and an interception. Trask finished the regular season completing 73.2% of his passes for 343 yards and 3 touchdowns in a 40-17 win over Florida State. In the Orange Bowl against Virginia, Trask completed 24 of his 39 passes for 305 yards, 1 interception, and 2 total touchdowns, leading Florida to the win 36-28. Kyle Trask finished the season completing 66.9% of his passes for 2,941 yards, 25 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions, as well as 4 rushing touchdowns. As a starter, he went 8-2 with both his losses being in close games to Georgia and LSU, who both finished in the top 5 of the final AP poll. Trask was a finalist for both the Manning Award and Campbell Tyler Rose Award. He also finished 3rd team All-SEC. Going into 2020, for once, it looks like the starting quarterback job is Kyle Trask's to lose, since Felipe Franks transferred to Arkansas. The former backup now has 30-1 odds at winning the Heisman and is now projected an NFL draft prospect. According to 24/7 Sports, Trask is projected to go in the 3rd round of the NFL draft, and with a good season, he can continue to improve his draft stock. Trask had every opportunity and excuse to transfer in both high school and college. Instead, he put his head down, continuing to put in the work and pushing through adversity. If you like this video, check out my other videos in the Who Is series. Leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And if you're still here, comment adversity in the comments section and remember to embrace the grind.